With the Islamic faith, do you see it as a genuine spiritual religious movement?
I see it as an interim religion, just like Christianity. It is religious activity which is not eternal.
That's interesting.
It is religious activity which can prepare the ground. Many aspects of what goes under the name of Hinduism are also not eternal.
That's right.
But Krishna consciousness is eternal. So it's not that we are in competition with Islam or that we are in competition with Christianity. We are on another level. And therefore, it doesn't matter. You know, in the world we see Islam is gaining some following. We see Buddhism has gained following under the auspices of the Dalai Lama. But all this kind of following is only skin deep. Skin deep. So we are not concerned about it. It's more external, skin deep. It doesn't go deep into the heart like Krishna consciousness. It's all skin deep.
In a different direction, I'd like to take it a little different direction. We see that in the world in general is more accommodating to same-sex relationships.
He's asking all the great topics first: a murder attempt, euthanasia. You gotta
see an acceptance of this also within ISKCON in due course of time.
Well, same-sex relationships in ISKCON. It is a fact that these things exist all over the world, right? In every country, in every time, this phenomena has come up. And we also have, naturally, people who have this kind of inclination, who are devotees by nature. So what to do about that? Yeah, we cannot just say that they are not devotees. They are. At the same time, though, Srila Prabhupada points out that it is a kind of entanglement in the bodily platform, an entanglement with lust, that is of a stronger nature than the lust that is expressed between a man and a woman. It may seem very similar, but the relationship between man and woman is designed in such a way that the lust transforms into sacrifice, namely children. And once you have those, suddenly, you know, everything changes. And that mechanism is Krishna's arrangement, and that is a sanctioned, scripturally sanctioned arrangement, a marriage between a man and a woman. Whereas we don't find any scripturally sanctioned arrangement for same-sex marriages. Therefore, we cannot just go around and just bless it all and say, yes, live happy together. I understand the predicament that people who are from that background have. You know, they say, but you're accepting people that are of opposite sex, and they can live like, well, a monogamous relationship.
That's right.
But you don't allow that for same-sex people. So you give us the only option is to go for a renounced lifestyle, and we're not ready for it. You know, we also need the time to prepare. Only advanced people can do that. So you don't really give us a realistic path in Krishna consciousness. So you should give us space to just have the same rights as everyone else. I understand that reasoning, and I can appreciate it from a social perspective, but I can not support that from a Shastric perspective, nor from Srila Prabhupada's perspective, who spoke out against it. right? And who basically told devotees to not pursue this kind of inclination.
And yet he knew some devotees had that inclination.
Yeah, and then, but what happens if devotees anyway have that inclination? Well, I think it may be hard if they want to actively express that kind of relationship to take initiation coming down in the line of Srila Prabhupada, because we can't, we're not authorized to do that. But at the same time, I think we're also not going to chase them away from, I think we can allow them to be members of the community, be devotees, and so on. I think what to do. Yeah. And of course the modern world is now beginning to sodomize, is that the word, or authorize such kind of relationships formally, legally, and so on. So that puts ISKCON more and more at odds with social trends, and it can create tension. And sometimes I've been caught, in dealings with such people, in such tensions. I have no intention to create trouble for them, you know what I mean? But I cannot change what Srila Prabhupada gave. I have to be, otherwise I'm no longer a bona fide spiritual master. So I cannot say that it is helpful for spiritual life. But anyway, even if one cannot avoid such a relationship, one can still do service for Krishna.
Absolutely. Yeah. My final question, Maharaj, is in Australia...
Well, thanks for all the fun questions.
Well, these are questions that devotees don't necessarily hear during a Bhagavatam class, and that's why I thought it's pertinent that we bring it up. The last one...
Well, the other day you were bringing up all kinds of questions about the class.
The last one that I wanted to bring up is that they recently did a survey in Australia that 70% of the population actually believes in God. And yet, we see so much ignorance, so much sinful activity going on. Why is that?
Well, Prabhupada said that there are two religions that are the religions of the Yavanas, the meat eaters. So, that is Islam and Christianity. So we are not surprised. Once you start meat eating, then one loses all compassion. And then, of course, sinful activities, hard-heartedness will be the result. So why is it so surprising that they believe in God when they are meat eaters?
Some sentiment that they believe in God.
That's nice. No, it may be there. But it is, at the same time, there is a low level of personal development in terms of the modes of material nature. So it's religion with plenty of influence of tamagun, of ignorance.
Right. Thank you, Maharaj. Now, I wonder if there's any questions that anybody has in the audience.
What is the difference between Siksha Guru and Diksha Guru?
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard to choose because we are not in a very higher platform to choose the Bharat.
Right. Well, one should not be so quick about Diksha. In the beginning, we take Siksha. And as you described, we should just take Siksha from various Vaishnavas, exalted Vaishnavas, experienced Vaishnavas who can give us many relevant, inspiring instructions, and we take and we learn from them. And that's fine. And Diksha is really not the order of the day. What happens is that we do need to go further, though. In due course of time, we need to develop a deeper relationship. Not just a casual one of instruction, but also that we begin to make commitments to the instructions. Yeah, see, it's like it's really lots of fun that there's someone who gives far out instructions, but we still sit there thinking, well, this one I like, this is certain, that one I didn't like so much, so that one I don't take. So I take only the instructions I like. Yeah? That is the beginning. So the next stage is where we start to make a commitment. And when we say, okay, I'm going to commit to the instructions of one particular spiritual master and promise to follow what he says. So then we have another good look at all the Siksha gurus and say, like, well, which one do I want to commit to? And then we begin to realize, yeah, well, what does it take to make such a commitment? It takes that there must be some trust. It's somebody can give a great class, but you don't know how they will instruct you outside of the class. The class may be absolutely fabulous, and then you ask, what should I do with my life? And then the next thing you get an instruction, move to China and preach. And I think, like, China, I don't want to go to China. Right? But it says one must follow the order of the spiritual master. So therefore, one must test the waters. One must see that, well, there are so many inspiring Siksha gurus, absolutely. But still there's a few whose nature and whose way sort of appeals to me. Or I have some confidence in them. I have some trust in them, in their, Then one may ask them some questions, either in writing or one may speak to them more personally, and ask them some advice about life, about your life. Don't ask them just questions anymore about general questions. No, just ask, well, this and this is the situation in my life. What do you think? What would be your advice, how I should progress? But because it's still Siksha, you're not bound. So you can test, you can see if it works. And if it starts to fit, if you feel, yes, I'm inspired by this person, I see that the practical instructions that this person gives are something I can deal with. Maybe China is more than we can deal with. It may be spiritually all right, but it may be too much. So if we feel the spiritual master is instructing in a way that I can relate to, then the relationship may be comfortable. Then at one point we can make this commitment and start aspiring to become a Diksha disciple. So it says, because sooner or later it will get a little more personal with some Siksha gurus than with others. So they become the candidates for consideration. And maybe you have 2 or 3. Test them, test 2 or 3.
But we are not in a stage to test them, isn't it? Because Maharajas are all on a higher platform than what we are.
No, you can test. You can maybe not test everything. You cannot test how advanced they really are. That you cannot test. But for that you ask, there's another mechanism. I'll get to that in a moment. But what you can test is how the relationship works on a practical level. That you can test. And that's important to test. Now, as far as us being sure that this person is really spiritually advanced, when we have some interest in a particular spiritual master, then we ask blessings from the senior devotees. And the senior devotees can look on a deeper level. So when they start to give blessings, that is the protection that we have for the qualification of the spiritual master, the blessings of the senior devotees. So in this way, I'm offering you a good package. I'm offering you the approach from listen to the general preaching, see if it is inspired, take some personal advice, see if you can if you have the ability to surrender to this trend of directions, take the blessings of senior devotees, see what they feel about the relationship. If all that is lined up, then you can go forward. Then it's quite safe.